Morning, Frank.
Hi.
Good morning, Jayashree.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. How's Frank? Good morning.
I'm good. Good morning.
Yeah, just oh, I hit mute by accident. Okay.
No worries. All right, let me just go ahead and share my screen. All right, so today is our first day of our 6 Personal Perspectives series. The 6 Personal Perspectives are foundational to Keller Williams Realty. They're part of our basic vocabulary and philosophy of leadership and achievement. So they came into existence when Gary Keller, chairman of the board, asked the question, what is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't seem to accomplish much? And after thoroughly researching this question, Gary discovered that all high achievers have 3 basic attributes in common: mindset, attitudes, and approach to life. So today we're kicking it off with talking about self-mastery. And we're going to talk about the mindset component of self-mastery mostly today. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about applying that concept to your business and how to apply that kind of mindset and carry it in to help you succeed. Because mindset is key. So Gary has said, you know, when you interview the very top people and ask them what their biggest challenge is, invariably they will tell you it is mindset. Keeping it strong, focused, and positive amid the many challenges they encounter every day on their way to the top. So he continues, life is an inside to the outside experience. When you get this at a deep level, you realize that who you are inside determines and drives what you are on the outside. The very best achievers know this and therefore truly work on and protect their mindset. So I think that, you know, we're definitely ahead of the curve. We've been doing, you know, a mindful morning moment for, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks now, focusing on mindset. And this series, I hope, will really help kind of bring it all together for you and help link it up with applying that to your business as well. So we're starting with committing to self-mastery. Next week, we'll go over the 80-20 principle, and this will reference a lot The One Thing, the book The One Thing. So if you haven't read that before, reach out to me and I'll help you get your hands on a copy. It's definitely one of my favorites, and it's a book I go back to and revisit every year. Step 3 is moving from E to P, which is entrepreneurial to purposeful. Step 4, make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. Step 5, remove your limiting beliefs. And step 6, be accountable. So what we'll be doing is we'll be spending Tuesday kind of talking about how to apply these principles to your mindset and kind of really internalize them. And then on Thursdays, we'll be talking about real life applications to your business. So I think that it will pair really well together. This is the the student manual for this course. This is a KWU course that I'm kind of tweaking a little bit because it really does focus exclusively on the business applications of it. You know, but since we're spending this time in the morning and being really purposeful about being mindful during this time, I wanted to add in the component of internalizing it and applying it to you, your mindset in general, and not just your business, especially since Gary talks about how mindset is so important. So I found this article on Destiny Odyssey, but I really liked the graphics that it had for self-mastery. So there's 4 really kind of major components to mastery and self-mastery. So it's the mind, body, heart, and soul. So self-mastery, they define it as the ability to recognize, understand, control, and make the most out of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self. So that's gained through awareness, understanding and control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And essentially, it gives you control over the one thing you can control in any given situation, yourself, right? We don't have control completely over what happens to us. We don't completely have control over what others do, but we do have control over ourselves. And this has been a common theme in what we're talking about. So self-mastery gives over your own thoughts, emotions, words, and actions can change and transform your life and yourself. So when negative thoughts arise, emotions can become unsettled. You know, you might be upset or angry, and your resulting actions have negative consequences, right? We don't want to act out of anger, especially in a work environment. So with having that mastery over your thoughts, or even awareness over your thoughts, you're able to recognize that and maybe take a second to take a couple of breaths, give yourself time to react because you're more aware of what's going on inside of yourself. So with it, it will also help you control your emotional impulses and allow you to make decisions based on rational thinking instead of heightened emotions. How many times have we, made rash decisions because of our emotions in the moment, but those decisions weren't actions that helped us move towards our long-term goal, right? I think that's something we're all guilty of is acting emotionally and doing things that aren't necessarily in line with what our goals are. So the self-mastery process they outline is, self-actualization, self-discovery, self-development leads to self-mastery. So self-awareness leads to accumulation of self-knowledge. That very first step is awareness. And that's something we've been talking a lot about with these mindfulness practices is your initial goal really is to increase that awareness. Be more in tune with what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are thoughts that are reoccurring to you? What are they saying to you? And what are the feelings tied to those thoughts, right? That first step is to have that knowledge about what is happening and have that awareness. So self-knowledge identifies what you know about yourself. So after you go from self-awareness, that leads to that accumulation of self-knowledge. You'll start to realize patterns, maybe realize, triggers for what really triggers those negative emotions or triggers that anger and negative thoughts. It's with that knowledge that you can understand your principles, values, and purpose, and you're able to apply it to your life. And with self-knowledge, you're able to understand your strengths to build upon, as well as identify areas you may like to make improvements. So with self-knowledge, you discover who you are and when you're at your best. So that self-knowledge piece is extremely important when we are setting goals, right? And we'll talk about this more on Thursday. But having that awareness that leads to that knowledge will help you identify what are some obstacles you might encounter in trying to reach your goals, right? Like what are some limits that you might be putting on yourself, or what are some areas that you might need to improve upon in order to reach your goals, or what things do you at least need to be aware of? We all have, I think, some of us more than others, those self-sabotaging behaviors, right? And having knowledge of those is the very first step, in moving past that level. So starting with awareness, which, as I really believe meditation and mindfulness is helpful there, and having those quiet moments to really reflect and realize what your thoughts and what your emotions are telling you. And having that ability, that non-judgment, right, that we've also been talking about, of not immediately assigning feelings to all of our thoughts either. I think that's kind of moving into that knowledge space, is using that non-judgment to recognize your thoughts and not immediately assign feelings of whether they're good or bad to them. And that will really, and also that moves into that development stage as well. One of the problems with awareness and knowledge is that it does not require you to take any action. And without action, knowledge and awareness does not lead to that change, right? So just knowing I know we've all met some people who might have some negative traits, and they're very aware that they have negative traits, and they say, well, that's just the way I am. That's, my parents did XYZ, and this is just the way I am now. And where that awareness is helpful be even more helpful if they took that next step, right, into development. So the good thing is that once you develop your self-awareness and the skills to understand your core beliefs, then changing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors becomes much easier. Acting on your self-knowledge allows you to reach your fullest potential to become fulfilled and self-actualized. So once you identify, right, your core beliefs, your one thing, to use more Keller Williams language, it's a lot easier to change your goals to change your behaviors to reach your goals and to be more in control of your emotions, because you're reminding yourself of, what your core beliefs are, like who you really are, what really motivates you. And that can motivate you to make those changes that might be really difficult, or to start a new habit and stay committed to it, because you're reminding yourself that it is so important to who you are at your core. So here is another kind of graphic of self-awareness to self-knowledge to self-development to self-mastery. So we can't stop here with awareness and knowledge, right? We have to work on that development piece. That's the action, which will lead us to self-mastery. So self-mastery can help you develop habits, beliefs, and attitudes in order to create and live your life to the fullest. When you have developed this mastery, you'll have the ability to control yourself in any given situation. So that mindfulness is a big piece of that we've been talking about as well, right? You absolutely have to have that awareness and knowledge to be able to control and have that control over your thoughts and emotions. You'll be able to move easier forward towards your goals with discipline and persistence and focus. And you'll know your purpose, and you will have the self-confidence and self-discipline needed to do things in a conscious, focused, and purposeful way. And that's why we'll spend more time on Thursday talking about setting goals and how to utilize self-mastery in order to reach those goals, because having that end game in your mind is really what's going to motivate you to do the maybe more challenging activities to get there, right? Like one of my personal goals on my GPS this year was to just be more mentally and physically healthy, and meditating every day was a big component of that. So, on days where I didn't feel like meditating, or I felt like I didn't have 15 minutes, I always have 15 minutes, but we tell ourselves these stories, right, that we don't, have time to do it. I reminded myself that this is a part of my, my bigger goal leading to that I set for myself, and that will lead me towards reaching my other goals, and that this is like a thing I need to do every day to help me reach that bigger goal. So it just reminds you, having that end game in mind helps you make the changes in the short term, that your purpose, you have the self-confidence and self-discipline needed to do things in a conscious, focused, and purposeful way. And this will relate to later 6 personal perspectives as well, right? Moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. So moving from being busy for the sake of being busy to focusing on the activities that we need to do to get the results that we want. And in order to make that transition and to be able to identify the difference between those two activities, you need to have that level of awareness and knowledge in the impact of what is the impact of the activity that you're doing. So one of the greatest benefits of self-mastery that helps you have clarity on what's important to you. And we'll talk, like I said, we'll talk about that more on Thursday. So please take this time, throughout the week before Thursday, just to think about, what is important to you. Also, we'll watch a short video if we have time on a TED Talk that we'll talk a little bit more about on Thursday as well, about a man who was in a plane that was going down, and it really caused him to kind of have this moment of realization of what he really wanted to achieve in his life. And then he, had the opportunity to make those changes. But we don't want to wait until we're in a life-threatening situation to realize what we really want in our life. So it's important, let's think about that now. Let's utilize this time and make sure that we're setting a plan on how to make those changes, how to achieve those things that we want, that are in line with who we are as a person and our core, what we believe to be our core purpose. So it helps you have clarity on what's important to you and teaches you to live in the present moment and helps you create more room in your life for feelings of gratitude, love, fulfillment, joy, and happiness. So you watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So it really does start with your thoughts, because your thoughts really heavily influence your actions, and repeated actions become habits. And highly successful people, through what Gary Keller has found, are really in control of what their habits are. They're very purposeful about what their habits are, and they create habits that will lead them towards their goal and towards the life they want to create. So it's really important to be conscious of. Let me see if I can find where I had that TED Talk. I don't think here we go. All right, so it's 5 minutes. So yeah, we do have time to watch this today. And then we'll watch this, reflect on this over the next week, or sorry, I guess, the rest of today and Wednesday, and we'll talk about it more on Thursday. And then after this, we'll do our 10-minute meditation to get ready for that group script practice and our lead generation.
So imagine a big
Nick,
experience as you climb through
Screen
3,000.
is still on the PDF file.
Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack.
Let me close the PDF file and see if.
Maybe you had screen pull.
It's still the same. I can't see.
Yeah, can you see it now?
No.
It's trying to load.
Oh, wait. Let me stop share and reshare again. That'll probably fix it. How about now?
Yeah.
Great.
Now we can. Yep.
Yep.
Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happen at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines. Now imagine being on a plane with no sound. And then he says 3 words, as unemotional 3 words as I've ever heard. He says, brace for impact. I didn't have to talk to the flight attendant anymore. I could see in her eyes, it was terror. Life was over. And I want to share with you 3 things I learned about myself that day. I learned that it all changes in an instant. We have this bucket list, we have these things we want to do in life, and I thought about all the people I wanted to reach out that I didn't, all the fences I wanted to mend, all the experiences I wanted to have and I never did. As I thought about that, later on I came up with a saying, which is, I collect bad wines. Because if the wine is ready and the person is there, I'm opening it. I no longer want to postpone anything in life. And that urgency, that purpose has really changed my life. The second thing I learned that day, and this is as we clear the George Washington Bridge, which was by not a lot. I thought about, wow, I really feel one real regret. I've lived a good life. In my own humanity and mistakes, I've tried to get better at everything I've tried. But in my humanity, I also allow my ego to get in. And I regretted the time I wasted in things that did not matter with people that matter. And I thought about my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with people. And after, as I reflected on that, I decided to eliminate negative energy from my life. It's not perfect. It's a lot better. I've not had a fight with my wife in 2 years. It feels great. I'm no longer trying to be right. I choose to be happy. The third thing I learned, and this is as your mental clock starts going 15, 14, 13, you can see the water coming. I'm saying, please blow up. Right? I don't want this thing to break in 20 pieces like you've seen in those documentaries. And as we're coming down, I had a sense of, wow, dying is not scary. It's almost like we've been preparing for it our whole lives. But it was very sad. I didn't want to go. I love my life. And that sadness really framed in one thought, which is, I only wish for one thing. I only wish I could see my kids grow up. About a month later, I was in a performance by my daughter, first grader, not much artistic talent yet. And I'm bawling, I'm crying like a little kid. And it made all the sense in the world to me. I realized at that point, by connecting those two dots, that the only thing that matters in my life is being a great dad. Above all, the only goal I have in life is to be a good dad. I was given the gift of a miracle, of not dying that day. I was given another gift, which was to be able to see into the future and come back and live differently. I challenge you guys that are flying today. Imagine the same thing happens on your plane, and please don't. But imagine, and how would you change? What would you get done that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? How would you change your relationships and the negative energy in them? And more than anything, are you being the best parent you can? Thank you.
All right. So that was Rick Ellis. Like I said, please reflect on that and think about, what are those changes that you would want to make. And we'll talk more about that next week. Let me now get back to, yes, here we go, the daily calm. So we've been doing a lot of the Headspace meditations, which Headspace is the most popular. I know my screen, the share is not adjusting to when I'm changing my video, but I got it under control. There we go. So Headspace is one of the most popular meditation apps. Calm is the second most popular, or I think they're like always battling between 1 and 2. So if you like this person's voice better, or you want to explore that, I think both of them are offering some sort of deal right now. But I wanted to widen our exposure a little bit. And Daily Calm, a couple of years ago, they posted a couple 10-minute meditations. And this one specifically on being present. And I think a big piece of that, developing that self-knowledge and self-realization comes from being present in the moment, right? Noticing, what's happening to us, what are we feeling right now? So I thought this would be a good fit for today.
Welcome to the Daily Calm. Let's start today's session by finding a comfortable position with a tall, straight back. Allow your arms to rest gently. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Bring full attention to this very moment. Settling in and allowing the mind and body to still. And with openness, patience, and curiosity, bring your awareness to the breath. Taking a deep breath in and releasing it fully. Follow the breath as it flows in and out of your body. And taking one last deep breath before letting the breath settle. Allowing it to feel natural and easy. Don't try to force the breath or regulate it in any way. Just allow it to flow naturally on its own. And we'll scan down the body now, concentrating our attention from part to part. Start by bringing your attention to the top of your head and scalp, feeling whatever's happening in this area. You might feel tingling or heat, throbbing or soft vibrations. There may be strong sensation, or you might not feel much at all. Now lower your attention to your forehead, face, and jaw. Allow the muscles here to relax. On your next out-breath, let that sensation dissolve. Lower your focus to the neck, letting the throat and sides and back of the neck soften. Notice any sensation that arises on the surface of the skin or deeper within. Now bring your attention to your shoulders, noticing if there's any tension or strain. Breathe into your shoulders, and if any parts feel tight, allow them to relax. Extend your awareness down the arms, towards the wrists, palms, and fingers. On the next out breath, allow them to soften. Now come to the chest, observing the rise and fall of each breath. Notice how the lungs expand and contract. Direct your attention to your upper and lower back. There may be some intensity, as this is an area where we commonly hold stress. If you notice any tension or warmth or discomfort, just observe what's there. With each breath you take, soften just a little bit more. moving your focus around to your abdomen. Notice it expanding, filling up with air, and slowly emptying on the exhale. Then bring your attention to your pelvis. Notice where your body makes contact with the ground or your chair. And direct your breath into this area, relaxing into stillness. Now scan your legs, observing your thighs. Notice where they make contact with your cushion or chair. Lowering your attention to your knees and your shins and calves. Let your legs soften and tensions release. When you're ready, breathe into your ankles, your feet and toes. Let them relax and become soft, sinking into a state of relaxed awareness. And as we near the end of the session, take a moment to notice how you feel. You may find that you're more relaxed, as this is often a common outcome of meditation. And this is one of the reasons why it's so helpful to meditate during times of stress. When we're experiencing stress, our amygdala fires up and it's difficult to make thoughtful decisions. So if we find our mind is clouded due to overwhelm, we can use meditation as a tool to calm the mind down. Ideally, we want to meditate in a preventative way so we don't get to that point. But the practice is here for you whenever you need it. And as we near the end of the session, bring your attention back to the room. Wiggle your fingers and toes, and slowly open your eyes. I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Calm. I invite you to bring this state of peace with you into the day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
All right. Well, I hope that you all got something out of that. I know I really appreciated the nature sounds with the Calm app. That was nice. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll post the link to that TED Talk in the links of this is on Facebook Live. So in the link below, if you want to give that a rewatch. Thursday is Red Day, but I think it would be really beneficial for us to talk about goal setting and how that can help us before, we start our 5K in the morning, or if you're a super early bird, maybe when you get back. So I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday, and have a good rest of your day.
Great, thank you. I
No
have a
problem,
question,
Jayashree.
Nicole, since there's nobody else. There's just,
Thank you.
on Thursday for that thing, what do? You just walk and then just send on an app or something, just take a picture and send it to you, or email, or what is it?
So you'll send Petra like an email, either like at the time you start and at the time you end, just so we can clock the number of total minutes we walked or ran for our office.
Oh, so okay, just so it's not.
Did you
like-
register through the Eventbrite?
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.